Hey everyone, welcome to the NY Patriot Show. Tonight's episode, I got my boy Colby with me. Thank you, Colby. He's in the passenger seat again with me. Much appreciated, my man. You want to say what's up, everybody, and let everybody know who you are, just in case they don't know who you are yet.
Hey everyone, Colby from Conspiracy Playtime and Disinfobation. You can find both those shows on most places. And thanks again for having me. I always have fun sitting in, and especially when Headless Giant's on, it's always informative as hell.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that's why I had you back on. Yes, and all his links are in the bottom as well. And the guests for tonight, we're going to be talking about Omphalos. I think I already screwed it up already. And megalithic structures with the Headless Giant. Thank you so much, buddy, for coming on again. It is always a wonderful and amazing and just thought-provoking discussion when we chat.
Absolutely. I love coming on here. You guys are the greatest. So tonight, I want to go over a little bit of those definitions again. I love doing it. So first off, you are not a human being. Everyone out there, you are a human-shaped donut. And that's very important for this topic, especially this topic, all right? So you've got a hole in your face and a hole in your ass, and that's where your metabolism comes from. That's where you keep on moving forward in life. Now, if you look at the human energy field, it's in the shape of a torus or a donut. So you're a donut on multiple levels. It's important because there's a hole in the center, and you can fill that up with energy, right? You fill that up with energy just naturally. Where you go and what you do will produce a harmonic effect in the area around you. You'll start to notice synchronicities. You'll be like, am I going crazy or is this happening for a reason? I want to talk especially about the conscious energy around us. So there are only two types of languages. You've got the water language. Simply explained, water language, the water is always speaking to itself. All right? Water is always speaking to itself. The other type of language is the air language. Now, the air language is a fish sitting inside of a cave, slapping its tail against the rocks. There's air escaping from this cave. Now, those rocks, those are your teeth. That tail slapping against it, that's your tongue. You're trying to get the attention of the rest of the ocean. Unfortunately, unless you're using that water that's deep down in that cave, you're not going to be able to produce the waves you want to. You've got to connect with water. We're all made out of water. Everything is water. Even a sky filled with smoke like I've had here for the past week and a half, still water out there. You may not think so because you'll be hacking up a lung, but there's water out there. Now, that water language is important because it also represents consciousness. I want you to think about consciousness as if it's a substance itself. All right? So we think about consciousness as being something that's only in us or that we can think about with words or with other things. But there's a general flow to consciousness. As you're alive, consciousness flows from the unknown to the known. But when you die, it reverses direction. Think about how many words we've lost in our common lexicon because the people who use those words have died off. Those words had important emotions behind them. Those words could convey important feelings. But since we've lost the cultural context and since we've lost those people, that knowledge has flowed in the opposite direction. So we know from that example that knowledge or information has a magnitude of its own, independent from anything else. But it's got to be imprinted onto material substances, so to speak, so that we can appreciate and absorb that information. Or so we think, right? There are other ways of doing it, but this goes back to the water language, right? So at this point in our development, we think that information theory is purely connected to physical objects, right? The physical objects around us, the waves we put into the air, all the rest of that stuff. But that's not exactly the case. There are ways that you can access this information without having to have physical objects. Now, this is where you're really getting deep into the water language. Now, the water language, I call it that because in the beginning mythology of the Christians or Hebrews, the Christians, the The Sumerians, the Greeks, they always talk about the formless void before there are gods, right? That formless void is this watery darkness. In the Enuma Elish, they call it the watery darkness. In the Bible, they call it the Spirit of God moved over the face of the waters. There were waters above and waters below. Now they copy pasted that from the Sumerian epics, right? But in that water concept, you've got also quantum fields, right? So this quantum field is moving kind of like water. It has a magnitude to it, even though it's not necessarily a physical object. They call it quanta because they say that's the lowest measurable part of anything, right? But they also admit that this quanta will pop in and out of reality without much of a rhyme or reason. And then you've also got the double slit test, where if you're observing a double slit as light is going through it, it will manifest as a particle. But if you're not observing it, it will be a wave. Wave is a magnitude, and a particle, that would be a number, right? And so in learning about mathematics, you understand that there are two forces that are generally behind all mathematics. You've got magnitude, which would be like a wave function, and then you've got a particle, or which would be numbers, right? So we're used to dealing with the number line. You kind of have to go up higher into mathematics before you start talking about magnitude, but it's something easy enough to explain. It's the algorithms that exist around you, right? So when you drop a rock into a lake, you get waves coming out from it. This is how all energy moves, right? All energy can be witnessed doing those functions. Now, we're just taught to think about mathematics as just being like quantity, right? So 1 apple, 2 apple, 3 apple, 4 apple. But in that quantity, right, we can also determine that same function I just talked about from the known to the, or from the unknown to the known, right? So the 1 is in the 2, but the 2 is not in the 1. The 2 is in the 3, but the 3 cannot be in the 2. It's moving in a particular progression, and that logical progression is how we also learn, right? But as we learn, it creates a magnitude or a wave. This is all important when it comes to consciousness, right? So when we go to nature, we're surrounding ourselves in the recycled conscious energy of everything, right? It's not just us that is experiencing the movement from the unknown to the known. It's everything that's alive around us. You could even say that with rocks, as you're carving something into it, it's moving from the untouched to the touched. Everything is moving in that progression. That's the progression of time, right? So this goes back to Greek mythology. When you talk about the idea of moving from the unknown to the known, and the place where they did that without having physical interference was a place called the Oracle at Delphi. Now, the Oracle at Delphi had a big sign out front that said, "Know thyself." Know thyself. That's what you have to know before going into the Oracle at Delphi and receiving those messages without physical matter attached to it. You know, we call that today psychic activity, but back then, Psyche was a god, right? Psyche was a goddess that represented that sort of thing. So when we talk about words, those are also representations or personifications of a circle of influence. So if you think about psychic phenomenon today, that doesn't just include weird waves traveling through the air coming into your brain. It's all the things you think. It's that magnitude of conscious energy, right? And so at the Oracle at Delphi, two important things happen. You had Apollo killing the snake, right? And when he killed the snake, he put it deep underground, and that snake would emanate back up as energy. Now, you'll find everywhere in the world where they're talking about this conscious energy of the earth, you always see the snake symbol, right? If you're talking about Ouroboros, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Is that how you pronounce it? The snake eating his tail? Ouroboros.
Yeah.
Right.
Ouroboros.
One of the few words.
Do you remember the name of Storm from the X-Men. That's the only way I can picture the Ouroboros or the Ouroboros is by her name, because it was like Aurora Monroe or something. So it's like I've got a weird association going on with that. But so anytime you're talking about this conscious energy, it comes in the shape of a snake, right? It comes out of the earth in the shape of a snake. It wraps around the Orphic egg in the shape of a snake, right? Every time you see it. Okay, so the two big snake rods that we see in medicine, and we see in Hermes, he's got the snake rods, right? So that snake rod represents movement and represents conscious energy. Is he still there? I don't know what's going on.
I think he just stepped away. I'd just keep going.
All right. So everybody thinks of the rod of Hermes when they're thinking about at the doctor's office where they see the snake wrapped around the pole. Unfortunately, that's not correct. That's the snake of Asclepius. That's the rod of Asclepius. Now, there's this great painting by this guy named Gustav Klimt, right? It was destroyed by the Nazis in World War II, but it was called Medicine. And in Medicine, you see the daughter of...
If you don't mind me, sorry to interrupt you. Where did they just... Do you know where that was at?
That was at a castle in Austria. They were fleeing the castle, and they decided they were going to burn the place down instead of letting the Allies, take it and grab all the stuff out of there. So they were retreating and burning as they went.
Okay.
So you'll find the picture, but you won't find the full color picture. They've only got a black and white of this thing, plus a close-up of Asclepius's daughter. And they call this picture Medicine, right? And in this painting, you see the daughter of Asclepius holding out the cup of Lethe. And she's got a snake sipping from the cup of Lethe. And behind her is this, what it's called the River of Souls, right? So it's all these people in various states of dress, undress, being born, dying. The River of Souls, it's all of mortality squashed together as she's offering you the cup of Lethe before you move back into the River of Souls. Now that medicine is in that snake as well. So when we're being recycled into mortality again and again and again, the Greeks thought that you would drink from this cup, which would make you forget.
Hey, right? Can I ask?
That's the medicine you need. Yeah.
Is that a reference from Prometheus that they're doing right there? You remember the opening scene where the guy, he's like one of the big aliens. He drinks and then he falls into the river.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what
could be the cup of Lethe, yeah.
Yeah, I had thought that, or like even, the black goo, shit like that. Magnetism. I don't know. It could have been like black. I thought of it like maybe possibly dark matter too, in a sense. But I think that movie actually, I actually really love that movie. I know it's kind of like cheesy, but I actually think it's very deeply occulted. To tell you the truth.
Oh, it's better than all the.
I thought it was great compared to some of the other ones.
Anything Ridley Scott didn't do in the Alien franchise was a little different than what Alien was. Like James Cameron kind of went his way. I mean, I don't want to make this an Alien show, but yeah, Prometheus is its own beast, and Covenant kind of wraps it up. Apparently, he's got 4 or 5 more planned out.
I like that.
But see, that's the thing too. What they're trying to show you is these internal conflicts, right? So all of these gods, they have their own motivation, right? The people who created mankind, they have their own motivation. And you just can't get a grasp on what that thing is. As soon as he wakes up, he's trying to kill everybody. They were trying to fly that thing back to Earth just to kill everybody. What the hell's going on here? They all have their own motivations that we have no idea about. And I think that's important to remember when it comes to these energies, right? Because, the Christians will say the snake is Satan, it's Lucifer. And then in these other cultures, like the Minoan cultures, they're handling the snakes. And then in the Christian culture too, in the deep backwoods of West Virginia, they've got the snake handlers showing, they can handle this poisonous snake.
Putting rattlesnakes in the freezer to get them all stiff. And yeah, those fuckers always make me laugh.
But it's all the snake energy. And the two parts of the snake energy can be seen just by looking at the snake, right? snake only has two parts in a general conception. You got the head and the body, right? The head is where the conscious energy comes in, right? And the tail is like what's wrapped around all of us, right? Have you ever heard of the concept of a superfluid?
Superfluid?
Superfluid. The only superfluid we've come up with is called H3, which is a hydrogen atom that is mashed together with two other hydrogen atoms. And the only way that they can make this superfluid is by getting it as close to absolute zero as possible. And once they do that, this superfluid will actually move and vibrate directly through any container that it's housed in. Did you catch that? It will move through any fluid or any container that it's housed in. So if you've got it in a beaker and it gets close to absolute zero, it won't break the beaker. It'll just come through the bottom. It'll vibrate between the molecules itself. It's a superfluid. And they discovered that back in the 1930s. They've been experimenting on it ever since. There have been 3 Nobel Prize winners working with superfluids. 3 of them. And you've never heard of it before.
No.
This shit is fucking amazing. We're talking about, like, let's say there's a superfluid there, but there's also a superfluid that we're surrounded by that interpenetrates us, that I'm talking about right now, this information. It can't be created or destroyed. It's a type of energy. And once you have access to it, once you understand the geometry of it, once you understand how to access it, stuff like gravity just doesn't even fucking matter anymore. Right? And it's a substance. And the ancients talked about it. They called it the ether. Right? They called it all sorts of different things.
And that has made its way into our lexicon, and most people don't know what they're talking about when they say it. Like the ether or the ether sphere.
Absolutely.
You consider like ether and orgone almost like the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But orgone, he claims, comes from the orgasmic energy. And I'm going to get into that too a little bit later. Right. Now that orgasmic energy is substantive, right? It's a material substance. And I'm not just talking about the sex fluids. I'm not talking about gender fluids. You know, I'm talking about the actual act of it. So the way I like to describe this energy, like if you look at the superfluids and you apply that to this other energy field, this informational energy field, right? It's like static electricity. It moves on the outside of a thing and it moves on the inside of a thing because it's not really bound by that thing, right? So as it's moving through different objects and it's picking up more information along the way, right? So let's talk about hauntings, right? In those hauntings, this superfluid takes a certain shape and that manifests this conscious energy, the head of the snake, right? And so when you're up against it, there's a thing called affect, right? This is another one of these words that's sort of being eliminated from our society. Affect used to be very important because we didn't used to have TVs, and autism wasn't a normal occurrence because we had interaction with our families. That was the only entertainment, right? And so now that we've lost that, everybody's a little bit autistic because they're just talking to themselves in their heads and they're not aware of what they're projecting out to the rest of the world.
So right? Are you saying TV factors into autism?
Oh, absolutely. Like, this is a thing we're making up based off of the modern condition. We don't actually know what it is. So like all these people talking about, oh, it's the shots making you autistic. I don't doubt it. That's definitely a huge factor. When you've got brain inflammation, it's going to cause that sort of thing. Now, brain inflammation can also be caused by stress, right?
And we're diet.
In a stressful environment, an anxiety-ridden environment, right? And so this kind of takes me to my next tangent, which would be piezoelectric energy, right? Now, piezoelectric energy is when a substance is being compressed, it produces an electric charge, right? The most common crystal we know of with the piezoelectric charge would be the quartz crystal. That's what's inside of watches. That's what makes a quartz watch run, right? So they're measuring that electrical spark every time it's struck. And by measuring that, they get the right time out of it. Now, you could take 2 quartz crystals in the dark, rub them together, and you'll see a bunch of sparks coming off of it. That's actually electrical energy. That's not the type of heat energy that you would get when you're using flint and steel, for example, right? You also can get piezoelectric energy from fucking bones, from human bones. All bones produce a piezoelectric charge. So as you're putting a human being under stress, that piezoelectric charge is produced, telling your bones to grow in density. This is why people who work out a lot have denser bones than other people. They're putting themselves under use stress, making themselves stronger, making themselves more built. Now, some people can't control the piezoelectric energy produced by their bones, and they end up with massive fucking bones, you know, and the bones never stop growing because they're connected to the muscles, and any sort of stress producing the piezoelectric charge in the bones creates overgrowth. Just a disorder there.
That's really weird or like interesting to hear about that stuff is in bones because I did cover like weather patterns. Weather patterns, and there was one of them that I was just like I was reading, and I think I mentioned it because I just found it weird. One of the weather balloons that they were sending up, like certain chemicals would get mixed in the atmosphere as this balloon's going up, and it was taking crushed bones and then like I think dumping sulfuric acid on top of it, and then like letting that lift up into the fucking. And I was like, yo, where the fuck did you ever have the idea that bones had the chemical compound that you needed to, like, I was just like, what? But like now, like if they knew that there was some sort of electrical charge, I don't know. Who knows what the fuck they were doing with the bones up in the clouds with a weather balloon?
Bones are actually a mineral structure. A mineral structure. Now, you know, the difference between a mineral and a rock is an amalgam of a whole bunch of different minerals. Bones are actually mineralistic in their origin. So we're not just rocks on the inside, we're actually these pure minerals, right? So when you're talking about Saturnian energy, it's producing an electric charge deep in your bones. That's crazy to think about. So when we see the black cube, and when we see, for example, I was talking a little bit earlier on Twitter about this Veterans Memorial that has a big pyramid-shaped object with little, what looks to be an eye right at the end of it, right? And it also has a big old star, a pentacle, specifically a pentacle on one side, and a yin-yang on the other side.
Oh.
Now, the pentacle's not on army patches, but I've seen that yin-yang on army patches before. That's a very specific patch, right? But none of that is contained in there. It says it was produced by 3 different towns, which means that it was produced by the lodge that covers those 3 different towns. And what they're hoping to do there is to create a piezoelectric charge, because it's not just bones that have a piezoelectric charge. It's also DNA. Your DNA strand, when it's put under stress, guess what that produces? Piezoelectric energy, right? As your DNA is under stress, trauma-based mind control has intergenerational effects.
Yo,
That's what you're passing on.
Doesn't Utah share
Epigenetics?
like a corner?
Epigenetics.
Doesn't like Utah share a corner with like 2 or 3 other states, and they even have something there where they all meet, like this big, like fucking like Indian looking thing or some shit.
4 corners. 4 corners. Right.
I mean, you got a lot of weird shit going on over there.
All of this stuff. Now, you're a receiver transmitter of electrical energy. Radio waves are coming from your body right now, right? You just got all that equipment. Do you have infrared?
What do you mean? No, probably not.
You don't have an infrared camera? So
yeah. I know. I thought like you meant like something to block. I have an infrared. Yes, I do. Yep.
That's the heat coming off of your body.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. That heat is being able to be picked up at a range.
That's why I bought it.
Really amazing.
I'd be able to see the differences in temperature change. That's exactly why I want to put. Believe it or not, I want to try to put it on myself while I meditate and see if there's any changes.
You're going to see the change.
I may.
And I don't want to get crude, but you should do it when you masturbate too. See if you can catch that orgasmic energy we were just talking about earlier.
Orgasmic energy.
Not that you masturbate, but if you were to, try it.
I'll let you know when I go to bed.
Well, what you should do is you should try it with seminal retention exercises, right? And then try it when you masturbate. See the difference in the sexual energy. You'll see it, right? Have I talked about seminal retention before?
Not
It's
when
something
I've
they
been
don't teach in
here.
the West.
No, I don't think so. I
It's
don't.
so simple.
Like
If
you
you
release your
stand up-
chi when you blow your wad, kind of thing.
It's different than releasing your chi, right? All you have to do is you stand up, you put your both hands over your lower dantian, which is like right below your belly button, right? And then sort of start to sway. You'll feel the sway come on you, and you smile at your prostate, right? Just look down, smile at your prostate. And what you'll feel is in your back, you'll feel a reversal of the hormones that are making you horny. This is how you practice seminal retention. So normally a guy's thinking about sex every 5 seconds, right? Think about the mind control potential of that. What's on every fucking commercial? You know, this stuff goes deep into your brain. Now, we don't get taught seminal retention. The Christian church just tells us you're bad if you do that. Well, thanks a lot. What am I supposed to do about it? Oh, read the Bible. Okay. I'm going to read about the sin of Onan, and then that's going to make me want to do it more. You know, the only way to actually deal with this kind of energy is to actually deal with this type of energy. But since they don't believe that energy exists, or the serpent is evil, so we don't deal with that type of energy. That's idolatry somehow. Even though it's the opposite of idolatry, it's idolatry somehow. So anyways, back to the serpent energy, right? So this snake of Asclepius is talking about like this energy can heal you. That's the whole point of the snake of Asclepius. They're talking about this conscious energy having the ability to heal. What does that sound like? You know, when you get the sugar pill from the doctor as part of the
placebo.
experiment.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
placebo effect.
Mind over matter right there.
Mind over matter. And it works the best when you're not thinking about it because it works on your subconscious mind. That subconscious mind is always on, always looking around. And when you can fool that subconscious mind, you've got control over the whole body. This goes into hypnotism and meditation. You're linking up the subconscious and conscious minds. This is how you reprogram that serpent energy within the body. And once you get to that level, then you can talk about the staff of Hermes, right? The staff of Hermes is the polarity of not just the creative, but the destructive energy as it's going through the spinal column. And then over in India, what did they call that? They called that the chakra system as it's moving up through the body. And it can be done with visualization. You could see the cycles and counter cycles of this conscious energy as it moves through the body. You go further east, they call it Kundalini energy. And it's still that serpent, right? This conscious informational energy is the middle layer we're missing in our consciousness, right? We think about things in terms of like, oh yeah, this is molecular energy, this is chemical energy, but we're missing a layer in there somewhere. And now we're talking about the macrocosm energy, right? These are the cosmic forces. This is the stuff that really holds it all together. This informational field is what's holding everything together. Now we got to go back to these megalithic sites, right? So at these megalithic sites, you have these people, they call themselves the dowsers, right? And they've got these two little sticks and they're going out there and they're measuring the energy with their body. Now, those sticks aren't connected to the conscious mind. If they're connected to the conscious mind and you have conscious control over it, you're doing it wrong. You want those sticks attached to the subconscious mind. You want those sticks attached to the deeper part of you. That's how you pick up this energy. That's how you know how it moves. Now at these sites, at these megalithic sites, they find certain energy patterns coming out of the earth, coming into the earth, moving in patterns over the land. Now that conscious energy is like a serpent going through the land, creating circles and spirals, creating figure eights, creating all sorts of different things that we see in sacred geometry. Now, what's so sacred about geometry? Think about a spiral, right? There we go. Think about a spiral. Now, when you're flushing a toilet, you're creating that spiral. And when you're flushing the toilet on the bottom hemisphere of the planet, it goes in one direction. When you flush it on the top hemisphere, it's going in a different direction. That should tell you that there are very subtle changes in this energy all around you, maybe without even you knowing it, right? So there's this guy named Victor Schauberger, and he was
yes, I know this
the
guy.
water wizard.
I learned about him when I lived in Eugene, Oregon, like a decade and a half ago. And like, it's basically free energy, right? The way he was
He talks
taking
about
this.
there's two different types of energy. He calls one the male force, which would be the explosive force, moving outward. And then you've got the female force, which would be the implosive. Now, the implosive energy would be like that spiral when you flush the toilet, right? So what that is, that's a self-contained energy system moving in a magnitude through a system, right? So as it's moving through that system, it's producing energy, but it's doing so at a cooling rate, not a heating rate, right? He's got a great diagram where he just breaks down all of the difference between the explosive force and implosive force. Inside of the car engine, are we using implosive force or explosive force? Explosive, that's why it's heating up. But if we could create an implosive engine that creates that flow without having that resistance, we're talking about getting a maximum amount of energy out of that system. Now, as long as we're focused on solely explosive energy, we're just going to be using up a bunch of resources instead of preserving those resources. Now, we can find this reflected in all of these sacred sites. Now, in some sacred sites, you'll go in there with a compass, and that compass is going to go nuts because there's magnetic aberrations at these sacred sites. The ancients who built that could sense it without having a compass, which should tell you that they were sensing not only that compass switch, they were sensing a whole lot more, right? And they talk about how they were able to produce a telepathic effect. So as one tribe would be at one site, another tribe would be at another site, they could share dreams over vast amounts of distance, right? This is the technology we're missing. This is the technology angle. This is the middle layer angle that makes the ancient form of technology different from what we have today. Now, how do we get back on that path? How do we do it?
We have to crash the grid first and foremost.
That sounds like explosive energy to me.
Sorry.
Right? We have to figure out a way of creating that implosive force. And I think I found it. So in Greek mythology...
I just want to ask real quick, because this chick's cracking me up and actually saying some good shit in chat. And I'm going by her name. I'm thinking that's Rose from Crow 777 show. If that is Rose, what's up? Thanks for joining the chat. It's impressive. Sorry, I'm just wondering because I think that is her. I was just surprised to see her show up here.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
What kind of comments are we getting? Do they like it, or are they telling me I'm full of shit?
Saga and like gravitational forces versus levitational forces and stuff like that. Like I probably missed 2 minutes of what you were saying because I was reading her comments. And then
I was listening, Headless. Don't worry.
Yeah, no. This is why I try not
to
read this stuff too much. I'll get lost. I could get lost.
I turn them off.
Box Saga all day long.
Oh, it is Rose. That's what's up.
If you are into Box Saga, listeners, I urge you to check out the Oralinda book. Oeralinda. Oralinda book, right? So they've changed the classification on Wikipedia for the Oralinda book from hoax to possible hoax. So what does that tell you? Tells me it's fucking real.
Tomorrow it's going to be 100% facts, kids.
Right. So the Oralinda book is the story of the ancient Phrygians as they traveled the entire world. Now, if you look back into history, the people who built all these sites, they were the Proto-Indo-Europeans, right? And the people who are closest to the Proto-Indo-European language were the ancient Phrygians. Now, the Phrygians are right across the channel from England, right? They're right across the channel from England. Do you know about Doggerland? Who knows about Doggerland?
No.
So about 6,500 years ago, they think that there was a place called Doggerland surrounding all of England. Basically, England was a much bigger peninsula off of the European continent. And then sometime in 6,500 years ago, or maybe a lot sooner, Doggerland sank. So what we see now in England, those were all just the mountain ranges, right? But we know people existed back then, so they were building a whole bunch of cool shit that's under the English Channel right now that we have no access to. That's all Doggerland.
So
Now,
was
it's funny.
was it shaped like a donut? That entire region that sank?
No, there was a split between England and not the Netherlands, the Finland, Sweden, and all that stuff up there. You know that big part that's shaped like a lion or something, right? There was a split. There's a big trench that goes in between it because there was huge ice caps over that part. Now that place was completely covered in ice and snow, according to them.
Like the Western Europe and Scandinavian regions, they were
right.
just
The Scandinavian
they used to be just like one and the same.
Right. So there was a river going between Doggerland and Scandinavia, and that river was because all that ice was flowing down, creating this channel between the two. But basically, that upper part was completely uninhabitable because it was all glaciers, right? So all the Viking races, all the Anglos, everything came from that Doggerland, and then they say it was 6,500 years ago. I don't believe them. I think it was more like 3,000 years ago. I think that's where the Sea Peoples who created the Bronze Age, Dark Age, that's where they came from. When Doggerland collapsed, they just sailed down into the Mediterranean and took over everything.
Is that tie into the Clovis that was over, like in my neck of the woods? I live on the western part of the country, and these are people preceding the Native Americans.
All those Clovis points, that's bullshit. I hate to tell you.
Oh, really? Oh, hey, I'm open to hear it. I only know very little about the Clovis.
Right. What they did is they date the Clovis points by the era that they think they came from about 10,000 years ago.
It's shaped differently than like this typical Nez Perce type shit.
Right. But they're finding a lot more advanced artifacts that are about 15,000 years ago. So were they all hunter-gatherers, or were they producing these more interesting things about 15,000 years ago? And they just say, no, Clovis points. That's our baseline.
So it's
just purely artificial.
It's a spot that we don't know about, so we just call it Clovis, and that's what this is. Okay.
Right. And they're like, no, this is what produced the mass die-off of all this megafauna, is they had these sharp rocks. And so they were able to kill all the megafauna in North America with these sharp rocks.
So what do you think about like Randall Carlson and his whole thing?
There you go. Yeah. He says it had to be the comet striking North America. And they say, well, actually, it's racist to believe that it was comets that struck North America. What actually happened is the brown people in North America killed off all the megafauna with sharp rocks because they were savages. That's not racist. But it's racist to believe that a comet hit North America. Go figure that one. Again, this goes back into this just laziness. I want to say that the speed of science is the rate at which tenured professors die. That's the speed of science, because they spend their whole life trying to prove this thing. And when new information comes out, they're like, that's bullshit. I worked my whole life for this.
If they admit that they were wrong, what do they have then? It's like the folly of man right there. That whole attitude is like not being able to admit that everything you've ever believed was fucking horse shit. So.
Absolutely. So there's a lot more about the ancient world that we don't know. We could know, but every time the Smithsonian shows up, they dig up the mound, pull out the bodies, recover it, and say nothing was in there. They did that to 10,000 mounds in Michigan. 10,000 mounds. They dug them up, took out all the shit, put them inside of a university back room, and never touched them again. They're still sitting there. People have been trying to FOIA that information for decades upon decades upon decades. Still sitting there. I guarantee you there's a bunch of European relics in there. I guarantee it, because I don't think there was ever really a time when the elites in Europe didn't have access to North America. You know, you look at the Bronze Age. They don't have the bronze, or they don't have the copper in Europe for the Bronze Age. It had to come from North America. And then we find these massive, they were talking about this in the 1970s. And those tenured professors still haven't died out yet, right? They have these massive fucking quarries up in Michigan where they were taking out all this copper. Well, where did that come from? And now, just recently, I saw a program where this guy dug up a bunch of Roman artifacts in Arizona, in fucking Arizona. What were the Romans doing in Arizona?
Yeah,
So
isn't
they
there
got
like
about-
Egyptian shit in the Grand Canyon? That's something I
I
keep hearing
heard,
people
yeah,
talk about.
Egyptian shit in the Grand Canyon? Now, either they had teleporter technology or they knew what they were doing this whole fucking time. And I'm open to both, quite frankly. Because once you know about this fucking
They could be
energy-
the same answer, really.
right. Once you know about this energy that's missing from our lives, the shit that's been suppressed all these years, they tell you keep away from the devil's circle. Keep away from that's the devil's circle over there. Don't go to the devil's lake. Don't go to the devil's rock over there. Don't go to the devil's tree. That's all serpent energy. That's all energy coming from the earth, right? And unless we're willing to get there and start to say to ourselves, we need to figure this shit out, right? Then we're not really going to understand anything, because this planet is far more strange, beautiful, and amazing than anything we've ever known before. This is how the ancients had the technology that they did. They followed the path of nature. This is what the alchemists tell us to do. They tell you to follow the path of nature. You know, the alchemical elements, that's literally the conscious energy, right? The way that they describe it can be applied to so many other different things. Feng Shui, they literally describe the conscious energy flowing over top and in between and through these objects. They're talking about a superfluid.
And now
right?
it's just how fucking hipsters organize their furniture.
Right. So not only was Donald Trump into the Kabbalah, but he also had his own personal feng shui master work on all of his fucking buildings too. You're telling me a guy like that who understands this stuff just at a cursory glance doesn't understand that everybody around him was working against him? I think there's more intelligence there. It's just like Kamala Harris playing dumb with every fucking thing.
You know what I want to. It's funny how you're saying that, and like honestly, I mean, people probably gonna disagree with me and think like I'm being some fucking fucking fed or some shit. But in all honesty, the fucking feds can practically read what we're fucking thinking. I mean, that's how fucking advanced they are. Do you think when they go out in fucking public, they don't know how to dress? I could go get 5 of my friends, get them fucking stupid fucking khakis from fucking Old Navy, throw masks on them, push them around, fucking film it, and I'm a viral fucking national hero. Like, come on, the feds are not that fucking dumb. They're not going to get caught because of their fucking clothes.
No, but they're smart enough to make us think they're that dumb.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't think that. I honestly think that shit's just made up shit just to get.
Yeah, it's another layer of a psyop, like Patriot Front and all that stuff. Like, yeah, it may be feds, but it's feds pretending to be feds that aren't feds.
Even just
the real question we should ask is,
to troll people. I mean, I've thought about faking stupid shit just to troll idiots. To be totally honest with you.
What is it doing to the subconscious mind? What is it doing to the subconscious mind?
It's
you know what pieces are putting together there?
Oh, we got this. No, you don't fucking got shit. You got a savior still. That's all you got.
Let's try an experiment. We can't talk about satanic symbolism without talking about bafflement. What did I say?
You can't talk about satanic symbolism without talking about bafflement?
Yeah.
What, you think I said bafflement too?
Yeah, what'd you say?
I didn't. I said bafflement. Bafflement. Like you're being baffled.
Oh, got you.
You see how similar those two words are?
Well, they're
you
like
that symbol better now?
The soft little twist with the L. Yeah.
Did you ever see those things people post stuff on like Instagram or Twitter, and it's like if you read it real quick, you'll fucking read it wrong? I mean, that's
I just wanted to be right. God damn it!
I mean, I'll admit it.
What do you think a goat-headed deity with tits is? That's fucking bafflement.
Elon Musk.
You see what I'm saying, right? It's a spell. The words they use itself is a spell. It's a spell. Right? And so we're surrounded by these spells, making subconscious connections in our mind. That's what's making up the matrix of reality. So here's my proposition. In ancient Greece, they had this temple, this oracle at Delphi, inside of a cave on top of this vent, collecting this snake energy from inside the earth. Even the priestess, what was she called? She was called the Pythia, which means the python, the snake. She was collecting that snake energy. And what was she collecting it from? It was the Omphalus. The Omphalus. What is the Omphalus? The Omphalus means the navel of the world. The navel of the world. And it was just a big rock. A big conical shaped rock. What do you see all those Sumerian gods carrying? What do they got in their hands? Oh, I got the cone. I got the cone.
Yeah, that too, yeah.
Well, a conical shaped rock is always associated with something that you know and love. It's the beehive. It's the beehive. Now, this rock, this Omphalus, right? It's the center of the world. And the way they knew it was the center of the world, Zeus took 2 of his eagles and he said, I'm going to let these 2 eagles go. And where they come together, that's going to be the center of the planet. And what do you know? It happened to be right there at the Oracle at Delphi.
I mean, I even covered
together.
To even add more technical occultism to it. I mean, the cornea, or fucking cornea. I mean, it's a fucking beehive inside our eyeball.
You're getting it, right? So we get all of our words from the Omphalus, because another word for Omphalus is the Betalis stone. A Betalis stone is a religious stone associated with stories in your mythology.
How is that spelled? Betalist.
Baetylus. Betalis stone. You're going to love that. You've heard the term Bethel before?
Yes.
It's a Hebrew term. It means the place on the rock. Bethlehem. They're telling you it's a Betalis. Bethel. Bethlehem. They're telling you this is the rock on which we will plant this religion. This is going to be the navel of the world. It's going to connect the sky with the earth. It's going to connect the past with the present and the future. That's the significance of the navel of the world. Did you know all of your blood vessels were once connected to your belly button?
Is this like in the womb?
No, it's when you're in the womb, right? When you're connected to the umbilical cord, all of the blood vessels in your body were connected to that umbilical cord.
Yo, and that shit
That's the connection.
Will follow your mother like all the way up her spine into her brain and out her fucking into her eyes too.
Bingo.
I just saw my ultrasound today, so this is hitting extra hard.
Now you've got a cosmic twin inside of that womb with you, right? Because all of the blood vessels don't just go to that belly button; they go out into the placenta. That placenta is fed by the womb wall, right? It attaches to the womb wall, and there's a separation there, right? It's like a little bit of glue that's holding it together. That's how it's absorbing the nutrients. So it's all spread out. It's absorbing all those nutrients, and then it sort of brings all of that through the umbilical cord directly into your bloodstream. So oxygen, like you're breathing inside of the womb too, but that oxygen is being carried directly from that twin. That twin is sacrificed upon your birth. You see what I'm saying? So you're starting to see the connection. The Egyptians would have a place of kings where you would bury that placenta, right? Because that placenta was your cosmic twin. That placenta was your connection to heaven. And unless you buried that placenta there, you're seeing it's back to that Omphalus idea again, connecting the earth to the heavens, the physical world to the eternal. It's almost like that soul is coming through that placenta.
Hey, let me ask you something about that. What do you think of like these earthy, spiritual hippie chicks who eat their placenta?
It's full of nutrients. You know, we're the only mammal who doesn't. We're the only mammal who doesn't.
A cow will do it if they think there's coyotes around, and it's like a predatory thing. They're not, yeah. But how long do you know how long that's been going on? Is this trendy now, or this was like thousands of years ago? They're eating placenta.
I think probably before there was religion, they were doing it. But after religion, they're like, no, this is sacred. We need to do something special with this. And then all these other religions are like, no, that's disgusting. We're not going to touch that thing anymore. But I think there is power in it, right? Because this symbolic conscious energy it's moving through all of us. It's changing as it moves through all of us. And what we think and what we feel changes how that conscious energy goes out. How can we have a society so much different from the ancients when we're still the same DNA? We're still the descendants of those people. How do these cultural changes happen? There's changes in affect that happen on a cultural level. And this goes back to that sexual energy, right? That sexual energy is very vital for that. There was a book made back in the 1920s, I believe. I think it's made by a guy named J.D. Ewan. Look that up. It's called Sex and Culture. J.D. Ewan, U-W-I-N, right? Now, this guy was a cultural anthropologist, right? And he studied the practices of sexual procreation in 87 different societies. And he measured that against their production. So their art, their architecture, their discourse, their writing, all the rest of these things. It was huge. It was a comprehensive work over 800 fucking pages. This thing was massive. And he found that in the different categories of sexual interaction they had, the most successful one was monogamous. And then he had, the altered monogamous, where people would move between things. And he also found the rational society, right? And the rational society, where they would downplay the gods, that's a repeating thing that was associated with serial monogamy or altered monogamy. And he measured this over generations, right? So he's seeing not only are we losing our connection with God when we get rid of this monogamous relationship, which how the fuck would these ancients know this without trial and error over and over again, right? But he also found that after a while, the serial monogamy broke down into a much different form, right? Where you would have either a matriarchal society where they would have multiple husbands, or a patriarchal society where they would have multiple wives. And basically, at that point, it was just the strong will win and the weak will suffer. So now you've lost all concept of justice and morality and everything else too, right?
So I live in a very weird liberal part of Oregon that's like surrounded by rural, but like polyamory is really big here. And I know that Nick loves to cover the fucking Mormons, and you got the polygamy in there. So I mean, it's really cultish, whatever angle you look at it. And then you're talking about a matriarchy with multiple husbands, which is
matriarchy is far more common in Indonesia, right? So the matriarchal societies, I like to classify matriarchal, patriarchal, androgen, and then gynocracy. Gynocracy is what we're living under now, right? So in a patriarchal society, a man has all of the power and all of the responsibility. So if something fucks up, it's all on him, right? In a matriarchal society, the woman has all of the power and all the responsibility. So in a matriarchal or matrilineal society, all of the property is transferred from the grandmother to the daughter to the granddaughter, right? And so you've got to wait your turn. You're going to be the matriarch one day. And they transfer all the property that way. Now, in a patriarchal society, it goes to the firstborn son.
Look at the shirt that Nick's wearing right now. Yellowstone Dutton Ranch.
You see the pattern, right? This is sexual energy. What they're talking about is sexual energy. And when you fuck with that sexual energy, there will be consequences. And this guy did enough study in this anthropological work to prove it, right? He's like, look, these are the patterns. Guess when Alfred Kinsey came about?
Yeah. I mean, that guy's fucking, he's somebody that I used to like enjoy reading. Now I don't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole. Curious to see what you're going to say about him.
Okay, Aldous Huxley said Sex and Culture was the most important book he's ever read. Right? There's JD. You've never heard of JD Ewan before, but you've heard of Kinsey. Is it because Kinsey's ideas were so much better or so much better thought out?
Well, absolutely, I don't know.
Fucking not.
He was into like normalizing pedophilia, which to me, when you like look at the liberals, they made a movie that had, I think it was Liam Neeson played him, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they like lauded him. He was a hero. And then you find out this other stuff where he was like a bisexual pedophile.
Do you know
How
how
did
he
he die?
died?
No, I don't.
Okay, so what he did was he had this thing about tying a noose around his genitals.
Oh,
He tied a noose around his genitals, and he would get sexual pleasure from that until he nearly castrated himself, and he got this infection that was so bad from this depraved sexual act that he actually killed himself with this fucking thing. So he actually I think they show this in the movie. He circumcised himself as an adult with a rusty pocket knife.
Holy shit! I'm gonna have to stop doing that to my balls. I didn't know it could kill you.
like some Kellogg shit. That guy circumcised himself.
Yes. Oh, I love that whole thing
You're
about
seeing
Kellogg.
the pattern.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the word because we're on YouTube, but you're seeing the pattern. I can just go like this, and you guys can get it.
And the Kellogg's are eugenists. And that's like not even like conspiracy. They were open about it. So
It wasn't until they started adding sugar to it that it got all good. Frosted
So you're
Flakes,
seeing
baby.
this guy, J.D. Ewan. Did you find the book yet?
I haven't looked. I've got it written down. I'll definitely fucking check it out.
Because I'm not completely sure about the name, but this guy, he wrote the manual that said, look, this is the successful thing. And all the elites said, well, we know the key to destroying society now. We know how to produce ontological stress that can give us the ability. Because what did that guy write? He wrote Brave New World. The guy who said this is the most important book.
Yeah, and he was in the Fabian Society and shit like that, which fucking blows my mind because George Orwell also has connections to them, and they're warning us about what they were a part of trying to bring into the fold.
Yep. Okay. So in the Sex and Culture book, he says that within 3 generations, his generations are 33 years that he's measuring them by.
God damn it, 33.
Yeah, he was. Because you don't divide up 100 into thirds. That's what he was going by. Again, like the sun rises and sets on the 33rd degree parallel. So he's using 33, right? I'm sure he was connected with this shit because he got the funding to do it. And if you're not doing what they like, you're not going to have that. So what's going to happen here is they're going to take the keys of what you're supposed to do, flip it on its head, fund Alfred Kinsey to completely destroy society using this sexual energy. The free love era of the 1960s, let's see, 333s would bring us to about today.
And that's all Tavistock too.
Destroy art. It's going to completely destroy architecture. It's going to completely destroy our institutions, our focus. It's going to destroy all of that.
Okay, so I've got
nailed it.
JD UNWIN, like Unwin.
That's the guy.
Sex and Culture. Okay,
Sex and Culture. That's the guy. When was it published?
1934. So he missed it by a year.
Yeah.
And you've never heard of him. You've heard
I have
everything
never
about
heard
Kinsey.
of him. Yeah.
You've heard everything about Kinsey, all the good stuff at least. All the good stuff. I mean, he had pedophiles fucking kids and then making records of it, encouraging them to do so. This guy was fucking disgusting. You know what he was before he became this high sexologist? He was a scout leader.
Oh,
he was a
scout
leader.
Canteen
this is what
boy.
you should think about when you think of the Boy Scouts.
Oh, I know. And like, I was a part of the Boy Scouts and I blacked it all out. I don't even want to know what happened in those.
Order of the Arrow, huh? It's sick. Look, MK Ultra is not new. It is the norm. It is the norm. People need to understand that. It is the fucking norm. Once you get this generational trauma in your life, it's like a ticking time bomb. That's what he was talking about.
Yeah, it just perpetuates and perpetuates and perpetuates. It's never going to stop. Once you hit that first fucking domino.
We got to make our own Omphalus, because the Omphalus not only is your connection between the sky and the earth, it also is a beehive. This is where you find your words. This is the words they want you to use, right? When they're showing you the central idea of your society, an Omphalus would be a flag, right? Where do they plant the flag? They plant it in the rock, right? So what they did is they took religion, all the mind control of religion, and they transferred it over to the state. There is no way to separate the state and religion. It is not possible. The two work on the exact same principles, the exact same frequencies. It's the same conscious energy. There is no difference between the church and the state. You cannot separate the two. We're just starting.
Hey,
to see that now.
but the Constitution, goddammit, has to be separate.
It's a fig leaf. It's a fig leaf. It is naked aggression under there. Now, look at all these rulings now. In the middle of summertime, they decide that they're going to make a bunch of controversial rulings because they want you to riot. They want you to riot. All three, all at the same time. All of these cultural institutions, all of these Omphalos. The only thing these liberals can do is say, go fucking riot. Look at what they're doing in France right now. You remember the COVID riots? They were happening all over the world.
The yellow vest.
Doing it again.
Yo,
They're bringing it back.
Time for a new pandemic, everyone, or climate lockdowns if Robert fucking Kennedy Jr. gets in there.
Anything they want to. Any fucking thing they want to. Ticking time bomb.
I've noticed happen, and I was like, it's funny. Like, to me, it's like, plus we're getting kind of close to eventually elections. People are already starting to talk about running this and that. Now, ever since those Canadian fires started, ever since then, now the fucking news in New York has this air quality fucking number.
Welcome to my world on the West Coast, buddy. We've had that for fucking 15 years.
Fucking telling us tomorrow that if we go out, it is fucking hazardous to our health.
I used to live in Beijing, Oregon every fucking August, and now I'm watching you guys do it, and it's fucking beautiful out here. You're welcome. I don't know what happened, but it's.
Do you remember?
We gave it to you.
You remember the terrorism index?
Yeah, it's like code orange today. Yeah,
They
it's exactly the
need
fucking
that.
same.
Yeah, but
That's
whatever.
the subconscious signal that allows you to talk about it. This is the Omphalus they need. They
And
need that constant measurement.
Last time we had riots, didn't we also have forest fires going on in California?
Same fucking, yeah.
Yes, and now I even saw Conspiracy Kyle saying stuff, and I even saw a couple of fucking retarded accounts on Instagram I must follow. Fucking QAnon's all of a sudden like popping its fucking head back out again. And it's like, it's like, oh, time for like the fucking kick in the
at this point, if you're still on Q, I'll forgive you for the first time. But not, it's like being a battered wife at this point. It's different this time. I swear he's being nice.
It's the same shit as 4 years ago. And like, we're doing the same shit again. Like, are we just trying to be blatant? And it's
4-year cycles. Yeah. To us, it's blatant. People, the fucking average Joe out there, they don't fucking see how blatant it is. It's frustrating because maybe we never did see this. I think I kind of woke up fairly early, but some people never do.
Yeah. I mean, that's
all of our conscious energy is being drained out. Yeah. It's being drained out little by little, and they can hit us on a subconscious level. Because once that subconscious conscious energy is drained out of you, what do you become? You become petrified. You become that gray NPC meme.
Yeah, there's this big thing about people with no. What's that?
What is he if he's not a rock? You can even see it in some of these memes. Like he'll be touched by another NPC, and then it'll be like this turning to stone, like he's looking at a gorgon or something.
Yo, I don't know if this is like the same video, but like I think we might have included it in our Order of Quetzalcoatl series. When we were talking about the QAnon psyop, there was like a couple of different areas that we thought, besides Quetzalcoatl, the Masons being involved, we did like suspect Lull sect and Clown sect. No, Clown sect, not Lull sect, Clown sect, and there was somebody else. I can't remember the names. And like it was like maybe a year before like all this craziness started popping off a few years ago. They made a video of this dude that you're talking about, this guy, and like it literally was like showing you and forecasting like what was about to come. And I was like, yo, I swear to God, these motherfuckers were like behind part of the meme social media psyop.
Absolutely. I don't see that QAnon psyop picking up. I see a bunch of people trying. They're trying real hard. They keep saying the military any day now, they're going to make the move. the military is coming to save you. And again, it's like that's the stand down order. That's Operation what was it? Operation Hope. You ever talked about Operation Hope?
Oh wait, was that the Trust the Plan or something like that? Wasn't that called Trust the Plan?
It was under the
Bolsheviks?
Soviets. The Soviets told all of the upperclassmen in that society, don't worry, the Tsar is going to come back with all of his royal buddies. They're all coming for us. They're going to help us. It was started by the Bolsheviks.
Yeah, and nobody ever came.
Nobody ever came. That's exactly what QAnon is. And it works. That hope is at the bottom.
It was like
of
Operation
Pandora's
Trust
box.
or something like that. Operation Trust.
Operation Trust. There you go.
Yeah, some shit like that.
I keep getting it confused with Pandora's box because at the bottom of Pandora's box is hope. That's one of the evils released on the rest of the world. Is that hope? It keeps you from acting. It keeps you from having that connection from the earth to the sky. And I'm telling you, it's a beehive. That's what the shape of the Omphalus is, because that is the hive mind. That's the center of the culture. Everything else rotates around it. Everything else goes back into it. It's that snake eating its own tail. It's what you see with your eyes. This is the place where you're supposed to go as a religious experience. This is supposed to be your core. This is supposed to be at the center of your donut. But who controls the Omphalus? That's always the question. And I think we need to find our own lexicon. We need to make our own Omphalus because I think it's something that is unavoidable. Everyone's going to have it. And unless you have conscious control over it, somebody else will.
Well, do you think that your average citizen is going to have to like be on the brink of death to make this happen for themselves? Because I don't see a lot of motivation from
Dude,
people
I'm telling
out
you,
there.
the conscious energy, once it starts flowing, other people pick up on it real quick.
So if enough
That's
of
one
us
those
do it,
traits. They're going to see other people doing it, and they're going to do it too, because it's something to do.
Especially if it's on TikTok.
I think at some point it will get to the extent that it's like, unless you literally understand this shit and you're a magician, you're going to be mind fucked. Like,
Well,
it's just going to be like the people who understand how to do it and the people who are just like out of the mix because they understand it, and then the rest are slaves.
How much flesh needs to be rotting off the body before people turn away from that screen?
I've seen examples where it's like all of it, maybe.
I remember that one lady who got the shot, and she's like, half of my body is paralyzed, but I'm going to go back and get the booster.
I got one good half.
Let's take away that one good half. I think that's running out, dude. Nobody's getting the booster anymore. Nobody. Even if they believe in it, they're not getting it anymore. It's done.
Yo,
that was supposed to be the kill shot.
I knew people that were like, hardcore, like all for that shit. And like they've even gotten to the point they're like,
yeah,
these things
are like,
and no more.
Because most of them fucking got COVID after they got the shot.
That's what it is. Multiple times.
And they're like, what the fuck? You lied to us, because they do remember, even though the news has tried to be sneaky about it, they remember being told cannot contract, cannot pass it along, and both are fucking wrong. That was enough to convince most people. And plus you got a free cheeseburger if you lived in your state in Why.
Delicious. It's a delicious cheeseburger. Look at
just
me
when you get in line, I want you to think about this right here, okay? Fucking goddamn.
Between him and Cuomo, man, it was like, oh god, for hours they'd be on in the morning, every morning. It was horrible.
Fucking YouTube
you were
done.
Literally being MK Ultra.
Right?
If you watch this shit every day and you fucking believe this shit, you are fucking being programmed, literally. I was like, that is so serious shit. And it was pathetic. It was like the most pathetic TV I've ever seen in my life.
Here's another law. We talked about how knowledge moves from the unknown to the known. Well, here's another law. The more over the top the propaganda, the more cynical the society becomes. And then you need even more over the top propaganda. Even more over the top propaganda.
You can see that happening now.
At some point, it breaks. And I think at that breaking point, that's when you've got the ontological shock. Now, the ontological shock is like the red pill. I mean, that's literally what it is. It's everything that you know becoming undone in front of your eyes.
So you think that point is close?
I think so, yeah. I do.
I think so. I mean,
I think that's talking this. Sorry, go ahead.
If you watch the X-Files, right? They keep talking about the ontological shock of finding out that there are other beings in the universe coming to Earth. And this recent whistleblower, the guy who said that I've seen, or I found out that they've got secret craft, and it's going to cause a lot of ontological shock. That was his quote.
He's like, they've all watched the X-Files by now. God damn it, they'll know what I'm talking about.
It's the ultimate Hegelianism. They want the ontological shock because they think they can remake the society. But how many of us have our own Omphalus? Get our own words from in here. How many of us? Probably enough. I see psyops falling apart within hours now instead of days. Right? I mean, they're even looking at this submarine like it's a psyop. Why?
I was wondering,
Because
okay,
it probably is.
God damn it. If we didn't touch on it by the time we got to the end of this, I was just going to ask your thoughts on it because it's a water ritual. I'm on the platform of two guys that always talk about that. So, and James
I was thinking it
Cameron,
was a
the number
sun ritual.
33. Say it again. Oh, what?
A sun ritual. Because when did
Sun
they do
ritual.
it? The summer solstice.
Oh God, it was.
Right where the sun goes down for the Mediterranean, right? So if you're in the Mediterranean looking that way, you're going to see it fall in the Atlantic Ocean. Right where that's at. You know, because the sun's sort of on the northern hemisphere side now that it's the summertime. So it's going down right over there. Right? And then what they say in mythology is that Helios rides this boat all the way back and then does it all over again the next day. And to me, I think, personally, I could be wrong, but I thought it had to do with the underwater internet cables.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they're right there. They've got these human sacrifices, and this is what's going to give us the strength and the power to cut the internet. Right? Because if you look at Apollo's all about connection. He's all about music. He's all about art. He's all about all of these good things. And he's also representative of the sun. So it's not just Helios. It's also this Apollo energy. They just actually opened up a new Apollo temple. The first one in thousands of years in Italy. It's just this ramshackle shack, but it's got a couple of columns. It's got some plywood. They've got their little deity, and they're doing their smoke, and they're like, well, one of the important things is that money theism, right? If you can mint your own dollars with the face of your God on it, that's literally taking the energy of your life and converting it into a sacrifice for that God.
Oh
Money theism.
Fuck, that makes so much sense. I never even thought about that. We just take advantage take it for advantage that all our money has dead fucking old people that we've been told lies about all our lives. Just every time we make that
The demigods.
currency exchange.
The demigods. Those are the demigods of our society.
How
All of
long
these
till
founding
Trump is on a
fathers.
fuck? I think Trump will be the next president to be. That's my prediction.
Really?
You want to talk about
Yeah.
piezoelectric effect? That's going to put these people into fucking spasms.
Exactly. That's my point. If Obama was the next guy on like the $8 bill, I'm just spitballing here, but no one would really fucking bat an eye. But if Trump gets on there, imagine the uproar. Holy
Oof.
fuck. On both sides, like the MAGA people would be fucking jizzing all over the place, and the people where I'm from would be like, no! Ah! Just like when he got elected.
It's literally that snake energy. This is what Hermes is holding. Hermes is also the god of trade. He's holding both the Republicans and the Democrats, and their piezoelectric energy is just spiraling around each other. He's just collecting it all, using that money theism. Now, I wish I could show you, but I've got a picture of all of the gods on all the different money that existed back before Christianity. Back before Christianity, they had every god has his own coin, and every coin goes to their own temple, and all these different decentralized currencies are being used in all these different ways. And then Jesus turns over the money changers. He wasn't pissed off that they were bankers. He was pissed off that they were Forex traders. And what did he say? Give to Caesar what is Caesar's. And who was on the money after Christianity? Oh, you better believe it was the Roman Caesars. Who's on our money today?
So can I ask why you can't show us that picture of all the gods on the money?
I could. I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, sweet. Because I'm curious. I'm very
Oh, man.
that's
You can't
intriguing as hell.
You can't put damn it. I can't put photos in the chat.
No worry, maybe later.
But yeah, man, I'll put it out on Twitter if you guys want to see it.
There you
But
go. Yeah,
it's so
I want to see it.
And they've even got some with pyramids on it and the Omphalus on it and all the rest of this stuff. All the stuff I'm talking about. This is how they spread their culture. This is how they spread their money. This is how they spread it all around to all these different points of the world. Now, don't get me wrong, the theogony, the list of the gods as they descended from Uranus and Gaia, or Oceanus and his consort, because there's a little bit of a distinction in there, you know. So Hera, consort of Zeus, she believes that the first gods was Oceanus and his consort, the god and goddess of water, right? She puts that into the theogony. But everybody else thinks that it's Gaia and Uranus. And Gaia and Uranus come from Anu. Anu is the oldest recorded god in Samaria, god of the sky. And in Greek, they call Anu Uranus.
So is that where Anunnaki came from? The term
ding, ding, ding. The Anunnaki. They all come from Anu, the sky god. Right. So with this money theism, we're seeing a big shift right now. They want to go into a new kind of digital currency. They need that ontological fucking shock to bring us into that state.
And I also want to point out, because I have predicted on many platforms that RFK Jr. will be our next president, and he is all fucking about that shit. In fact, when he announced that he was taking Bitcoin donations at one of his fucking gatherings, it turned into an orgy wherever he was fucking talking. People were fucking elated.
New Hampshire. They love Bitcoin in New Hampshire. See, here's the thing about Marxists and libertarians. They're both hard materialists. They're both hard materialists.
That's fucking true.
What's that tell you? That money theism is going to work the best on both of those groups.
Yeah, because one is working for it and one is working against it, but it's both of their fucking focus.
Right. Right. There's no spirituality to be found in either one of the groups. That's why I kind of got out of it.
Yeah, I'm a registered libertarian, and I think it's a very autistic group of people.
They're being led around by the nose with everything. This is one of the great things about the Christian church, and something you see in libertarianism is no matter what happens, they're always willing to fight with each other. Always willing to fight with each other. I saw this video on Twitter the other day of this girl getting baptized. All of the pastors came out of the woodwork and said, she's not really baptized. You didn't say the magic words.
She's not going to get to heaven, you fuckers. You did it wrong.
This is getting millions of views, and it's a symbol of your religion spread far and wide. At the very least, you could say, praise Jesus for that. Nope, she's not really baptized. You don't think that the libertarians would do the same thing? As soon as one libertarian starts to get a little bit of attention, what do? They tear his ass down. It's just another form of Christianity right there, you know? And
well,
they
I
don't
think
even know it.
A libertarian to me is just an anarchist with their dick tucked between their legs.
Right.
Because it's like, I'm almost to the point where I just want to throw government out of the picture, but I'm a menarchist, or I'm a libertarian.
They're energy illiterates, right? So you look at that sort of thing, and then you compare it to all of the rest of the times that there's been these split off groups throughout history. And you're like, wait a second, maybe it doesn't matter what his end goal is. Maybe we're working together right now at this thing, and maybe we'll see something, but it's ideology, right? It's this metaphysics of failure, right? They're missing that middle layer, that affect. If they could be around each other and experience the affect of that relationship, of the fellowship, that's something that you find in church. Not all churches, obviously, but it's something you find where the spirit is. That's not something you find where materialism is. The high priests of our society today are the corporations, right?
Fucking A, they are.
They're the one giving us these symbols. They're doling them out like it's part
look,
of.
it's still technically Pride Month right now for a few more hours, and goddamn if that doesn't prove what you just said, because they, all these corporations licked their finger and stuck it to the wind a few years ago, and now they're all in on this Pride shit. And actually, like fucking edgy gay people don't want any fucking thing to do with Pride Month now, because they see what's happening.
Right? It's too late for them. It's too late. They ushered in the beast, and now it's got to roam the streets.
I can't even drink Bud Light anymore. God damn it!
I hate Bud Light.
Yeah, that's what I always said when this shit went down. Is like, if you liked Bud Light before this, you're pretty much a trans person yourself.
I'm from Wisconsin. They will drink beer out of the streets. If you're dumping out beer, they will lay down and lap it up. We have the most alcoholics per capita of any other place in the entire world. The entire world. The most are in Wisconsin.
So that's where you're at. We were wondering.
Unimpressive fucking thing.
Okay, so you're
we're getting all that smoke now. You guys kept blowing it our way, you fuckers.
Hey, man, you should see where I'm at right now. I don't even believe
it's smoke, to be honest. I don't think it's fucking smoke.
It's fake and gay. Yeah.
Yo, I do often see I when those balloons, besides like the things that you've pointed out, stuff with Janus and just even occult symbolism stuff with those balloons before, I really did question too, again, not to go back to those weather balloon patents, but at that time we had all these chemical spills or chemical burns, and then we got these balloons going by, and then we did have storms not too long after that with ridiculous rainfall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if we're just trying to manipulate shit, I could see them doing that right there. So I even wonder with this, it's even with this shit, let's say, stuff is really burning. Who's to say you're not just up on a building that they've done before in cities? This is stuff that the government's done. They've literally pumped bacteria off top of buildings and said it was fog, and that they were seeing if they could protect the city.
Yeah, that shit got declassified fucking 20 years ago. No one even talks about it.
You could be pumping it into the shit that's already coming this way regardless.
So, okay, they drop aluminum and barium salts from these planes, and then it goes into the soil, and then it goes up into the trees. And what happens when you light those trees on fire? So get this, they've done a chemical analysis of the smoke, and they found that it contains high amounts of aluminum and barium. Jeez, wow, they've got a great way to chemtrail us twice.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
These metals will never get out of your body. There's no way to chelate this kind of shit. And they're just, it's like
vaccines.
Look, you can clean the water, you can clean your food, but guess what? We got your fucking air. We got your air, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's hard to avoid that one.
Yeah. You gonna live in a bubble? I don't think so. It's fucking insane. It's fucking insane. And all the fires just started all at the same time. Who are they fooling with that one? They don't even need to talk about it.
No, because it's climate change. This is just the norm now. So anytime there's a fire, that's the cause of it.
I have somebody in chat.
Who are you going to complain to?
Asking what color does ammonium nitrate burn?
Orange. Bright orange.
Just like your skies right now over in Wisconsin. Why don't you talk like that? Where's your Wisconsin
I'm not
accent?
from here.
Okay.
I just moved here recently.
Good for you.
Can I talk like that? No, I can't talk like that. I'm sorry. I was going to try an accent.
I've dated at least 12 chicks from Wisconsin, and I don't know if I'll ever get over it.
It's funny. The people out here love to talk, but they've got this fake meanness. They're fake mean. I don't get it. You talk to them and they start to show you attitude, and unless you show them attitude back, they won't respect you.
See, that's funny because where Nick's at, it's real mean. You get to where you're at, it's fake mean, and you get all the way to where I'm at, and it's fake nice. So
yeah, the West
energy,
Coast
it's the energy flow you were talking about before.
Exactly. It's all regional, right? Okay, so all of this earth energy comes up out of the earth, goes into the plants, right? The animals eat the plants. and then we eat the animals. It's literally that flow from the unknown to the known. And the dowsers will tell you, look, they're aligned. Look, they've got mounds that are aligned to the stars. You've got pyramids aligned to the stars. They understand this energy better than we do. All of these gods are like Legos. You take a wing off here, you put a horn on there, you give them a trident here, you put horns on the head. All of this stuff is like Legos because it's all about the energy. It's all about the energy. And when you get
Real
deep
quick,
enough into this stuff, what's that?
as you're talking about these things, these things that have all this energy and stuff, these mounds and stuff. Have you ever noticed like running water or streams close to them as well, or like underground?
Always. They've always got the power of the running stream nearby. In Wisconsin, we've got interesting mounds because they call them effigy mounds, right? So they've got these hills that you can't see it when you're looking straight on, but if you look from above, they've got buffalo, they've got turtles, they've got effigies of all of these different animals, all next to these streams, all next to the Mississippi River, right? Absorbing that energy, bringing that energy in. It's also tied to the constellations. That's why they use these effigies. It's not just the animals themselves, it's also the effigies. And if you go back to the medieval bestiaries, where they would have pages and pages of all of these animals and all of these stories about these animals, they were preserving the gods in those bestiary stories.
Do either of you guys listen to Modest Mouse by chance?
Yes.
Do you remember that song, like off the first or second album? He's like, "I'll burn me an effigy and you burn me an effigy." I never knew what that meant until you just said it.
I did mention them in my. They do pop up, and I did show some of their album work on my iSeries. Actually, though,
Nice.
I mean, I'm still a fan of them, and I'm not knocking the guy.
No, hey, it's like me and you, how we feel about David Lynch and Isaac Brock from Modest Mouse. I think it's kind of the same. Like,
oh yeah. Definitely like geniuses in their own way. They've definitely experienced something.
Well, they tapped into this shit that we know about.
Yeah.
So, if one of you, like, I don't have a computer in front of me. If one of you could pull up and read the Emerald Tablet.
Oh, you want me to get it?
Yeah.
Let's
I
race.
used to have it memorized, but it's gone now.
The Emerald Tablet.
It's a whole book.
Nope, just the first section, the actual tablet itself. The Emerald Tablet.
The Emerald Tablet of Hermes? Is that
Hermes Trismegistus?
Yeah, there is.
The Thoth one, that's a book. But
I've got it. If
this is the one
you just want me to read it.
Newton, the Isaac Newton translation of Hermes Trismegistus, because he did a translation too.
Isaac Newton, really?
Yeah. He was such a big occultist, dude. They like to take his work and boil it down to his 4 principles, but all of that came from that fucking conscious energy he was getting from the occult. All of that came from spirituality, and he became the biggest example of fucking materialism. It's the worst travesty of all time. They took him and boiled him down to nothing. It's insane.
I think I found it. I don't know.
Dude, good luck with translating all or pronouncing those names. I'm looking at this.
Sure, that shit. He's probably like, oh, I don't want to read this.
It's like a few paragraphs. It's not too long.
Well, I think some of those are just oh damn, I don't even know which one to read then.
Well, Isaac Newton's got the English translation.
Yeah, just translations from this guy. Let me see. Oh, okay, Isaac Newton. Here we go. 'Tis true without lying, certain and most true. Then it says, I don't know if this is a typo, but it says that WCH.
Which?
Okay, which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above.
As above, so below.
Is like YT, which is below. Do ye miracles of one only thing. Sorry, I probably butchered that. And as all things have been and arose from one by ye meditation of one, so all things have their birth from this one thing by adaptation. The sun is its father, the moon its mother. The wind hath carried in its belly, the earth its nurse. The The Father of all perfection in ye whole world is here. Its force or power is entire if it be converted into earth. Separate thou ye earth from ye fire, ye subtle from the gross sweetly with great industry.
What?
Yeah, I'm not. It's a I
No,
am.
that's fucking crazy.
It ascends from ye earth to ye heaven, and again it descends to ye earth and receives ye force of things superior and inferior. By this means you shall have ye glory of ye whole world, and thereby all obscurity shall fly from you. Its force is above all force, for it vanquishes every subtle thing and penetrates every solid thing. So was ye world created. From this are and do come admirable adaptations, whereof ye means is here in this. Hence I called Hermes Trismegist, having the three parts of ye philosophy of ye whole world. That which I have said of ye operation of ye sun is accomplished and ended. And that is it.
It's
Holy
all the
shit.
things I said. I didn't realize what it meant for so many years. And then I started studying all these different energy forms. You know what feng shui means? It means wind and water. Wind and water. That's all feng shui means. Wind means that this chi energy is moving away or moving towards. Water means it's collecting. It's right there in the Emerald Tablet. They're talking about the same thing in China and over there in England. Same thing. What was I telling you? It moves over the outside, it's also on the inside. It's all right there. That's what we need to take a hold of. That is the middle layer we are missing, and it's something that cannot be fully understood by the rational mind.
So, Headless, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
This technology that we're all using right now to talk to each other, is this hindering us, in your opinion? Or can it be kind of like part of this
I
new
think
thing?
it's an extension of it. It's a repeat of it. It's the thing that is the simulacrum that can exist without it.
Simulacrum?
Yeah, simulacrum is like an imperfect simulation of the thing.
That's our fucking life.
Yes.
Shit.
Yes.
I just discovered the answer to life on NY Patriots podcast.
So yeah, if we can get back to that Emerald Tablet conscious, now that Emerald Tablet is what gave the Kybalion the seven principles.
That's a good book.
That's what it is. That's where he's going. Now, they're talking about the sun and the moon, right? All of this conscious energy comes into the earth and out of the earth. And they keep talking about how that works. These people were dowsers. They were finding this subtle energy and working with it. All these Freemasons, George Washington and all the rest of them, they were surveyors. They were the ones who designed all of the cities around us. Why did they do that? Because they wanted to harness that energy for themselves. You look at the structures in Washington, D.C., that's no accident. They're harvesting that energy. They're using that energy to keep us under that consciousness.
Can I ask you something along those lines? Are you like a World's Fairs, Orphan Trains, old world type of guy?
I think there's some truth in it. I mean, what the fuck is an orphan train? Where are they
It's a
getting these kids? You know,
yeah.
the guy who set that up was a Freemason. All of this shit is done. Look, what comes first in these small towns? Is
The
it
lodge.
It's the lodge. It's always the lodge. They're the ones planning it out, and we just have to live in the world that they create for us. That's where the simulacrum comes from.
So these fuckers, they're like a virus. They got a hold of the simulation, and now they're controlling it. Unless we do what you're saying, which I don't know. I don't know how to go about this.
It's real easy. You take a bucket, you fill it with concrete, all right? You put inside that bucket all of the messages you want to exist between the earth and the sky, right? And then you go out there and you sing over it every day as it dries. That's the Omphalus. That's the same idea as what they were doing in ancient Greece. That's where you get the messages from. You've got to harmonize with those energies as they move over the land. It's a read, write program. It's not something you need to find out there. It's going to come to you.
Well, that's what I think monsters are about to an extent.
Bingo.
I just thought about something as you were saying that. Like, you guys remember the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? What you're just saying, I think that's the people that know what's really going on. They made that movie as a psyop to make that shit look stupid. Like when you're yelling at your water glass or you're singing to it nice, like that movie is retarded. But they also make all these concepts that you're talking about look fucking retarded.
Fourth phase of water. Check it out. They talk about the easy zones, right? When you put a hydrophilic substance like a gel.
Hey, I'm a soap maker, so I know what hydrophilic means.
Oh, fuck.
Yes, you do. It means water loving. When you put that substance into the water, an easy zone forms at about a micrometer out from that substance. That micrometer is the orderly manifestation of those molecules. And it forms this little easy zone. On one side of the zone, you've got a positive charge. On the other side of the zone, you've got a negative charge. You can harvest the energy from that water itself. You know where it gets this energy? From the sun, from ultraviolet light. That's what charges the water and allows it to do this. You can't make those easy zones in darkness. And when you heat up the water, Victor Schauberger says it becomes lazy. He was talking about the fourth phase of water without even knowing what it was, right? So on these different temperatures and these different scales, you're getting different properties of this substance we think we know so much about, but we know nothing about, right? So when you're thinking about the waves in the water, what kind of easy zones are forming? Here's another aspect. When the easy zones are broken up by the different substances that you put into that water, or the different energies you put into that water, it knocks molecules out of this lattice. It's literally producing a memory chip inside of that water. That's exactly what they were talking about, but they didn't know what they were talking about because they didn't do the work on fourth phase of water. You hear anybody else talking about the fourth phase of water? No, but it's been scientifically proven. If they applied the fourth phase of water into medicine right now, medicine wouldn't be the third leading cause of death in America.
But hey, is it really profitable that way?
Right. This is what I'm saying. We've got to at least start in this process of getting back to that middle layer of energy that we've lost out on through materialism.
You know, you're saying stuff about like water and energy and all that stuff, and like not to get like too far out there and to keep harping on this ice stuff, but like even like I didn't know this, and this was stuff that I had learned from, you know, Lisa, who's in the chat. She can correct me if I'm wrong, but like, you know, learning how the eyeball works, like, you know, you have fluid in your eye and like you have light going in there, and like it converts into like an electrical impulse at the optic nerve and shoots up into your brain. I mean, like literally, like the Grateful Dead symbol, in my opinion, is actually showing you the.
Oh shit! Fucking Grateful Dead. I mean,
you know,
dude,
and think about this. And think about this. The whole thing is that will change. You know, because of that stuff changing, your pupil will neither get bigger or smaller.
Well,
they all about LSD changing the size of your pupil.
Yeah, it's the fucking Grateful Dead is the CIA's shittiest band. Like, they're not. I'm sorry, people out there that like the Grateful Dead, but you literally
music. It's just, it is what it is. Like, you know, same thing with Pink
Floyd.
They
would lock people. They would lock people in Masonic temples and dose them all on acid, just to see them freak out. These people are sadists. Have you heard stories about the Grateful Dead? They do sadistic shit to their followers.
They are one of like MK Ultra's most successful projects. Really,
unreal. And these people are all NPCs. And we're all on the verge of becoming NPCs. That's the real fight in life, is to actually find that meaning and not to fall into somebody else's fucking meaning. You know? That's really the battle we're up against. That's what the info war is all about. It's not about supporting
and they even
Trump.
hijacked that with fucking fake Bill Hicks. Like the info wars. What the fuck? That's like the Nike of fucking alt media.
It used to be cutting edge, though.
I know, but hey, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's great. It's too bad one of us didn't claim it.
I'm telling you, dude, there's something about power. It does something to people. Oh, here's something I wanted to bring up about the eye stuff. What if everything looks like the eye to you? Because it's not just absorbing the conscious energy from the universe, it's reflecting it too.
Oh, yeah,
Well, yeah, it's the eye and a camera.
A lot of people know that either. It does push out actually energy.
Yeah, the camera to me is like us trying to recreate the eye.
Even put it this way. If you, this is just from my experiences, and I think if people are somewhat into meditation and you can feel your chakras, if you were to meditate and kind of like, if you can like feel your chakras and actually feel your third eye one, if you were to start to push that actually towards your eyes, you will see some real fucking top-notch fucking sci-fi fucking effects.
And you just saved
not in fucking movies, maybe.
You know, that just saved $20 on mushrooms too.
Really weird. You'll start to see shit in your mind's eye. If you start to actually feel like if you're trying to push on a chakra, if you're doing it to your eyeballs, you will start to see shit appear in your fucking eyeballs, man. I'm telling you. It's fucking weird.
Yeah. And once you get into that zone, you're dowsing without rods. You're seeing energy that's there, but other people think of it like it's fucking not. But it's there, and the flow is moving all around us and through the animals around us and the people around us, and all the rest of that shit is having an effect. This is why spiritual self-defense is so fucking vital. And nobody even knows where to start on that. They'll say, oh yeah, you do this ritual and then it'll protect you. It's like, no, you have to know what you're doing. And you can't know what you're doing without knowing what you're seeing, knowing the energy around you. And it's been so destroyed by all these neo-pagans who are just repeating from a book.
Neo-pagans, I like that. I've not heard that one, but there's a neo everything.
Go to a new age bookstore. You'll find them. Ugh.
I've got like 10 within a fucking rock's throw from my house, so maybe I'll check that out.
Have fun. Like, they've got crystals in there. They've got incense in there. It's great for getting focused. It's great for getting calm. It's great for getting, a book about, some lesbians doing some stuff to each other under the full moon.
Full moon scissoring is the best time to scissor.
What was I saying about sex and culture? What was I saying about that?
We got thrown off. Sorry. I don't know. Well, it's getting. If you want, we can wrap it up with whatever you want to end it with. If you don't mind, we're already at like an hour and 42 minutes.
Check out the Oh, here's another one.
Yeah, I'm not like cutting you off now. If you got another 10 or 15 minutes, I'm just saying.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. You've heard of the state Minnesota, right? Minnesota comes from the word Minigota, and Minigota literally means navel of the world.
So the Mormons were right.
How far were they separated from the Greeks? Why are they all using the same concept? Everywhere you go, you're finding these Betaluses, you're finding these Omphalus.
Hey, maybe the world has many navels, and they're all right.
Oranges
are for their culture.
Mormons too.
This is how you achieve a hive mind. You have to have all of the sky flowing into one source, all of the blood flowing into that one source, connecting you from the sky to the earth. And it's all around you. It could be anywhere you want it to be. They say navel of the earth, but that's sort of like a misnomer. They're talking about the center of everything, because the navel is the center of the body. But it's not about that. It's about the center of all of your people. Where's your people's center? I know we have people around us, but do we have a center point? Do we have a place to derive strength from? The only stones we go and visit are the ones that are on top of our dead loved ones. Where do you think they got that concept before? Maybe we should have a family stone instead of just a headstone. Maybe that's a living stone instead of the dead stone.
Well, what do you think about the concept of burying remains?
It comes from the idea, okay, so you'll always find the evergreens inside of the cemeteries, right? So they would have a family tree, right? Have you guys ever seen the language Ogham?
No.
Ogham's a Celtic language and it's the language of the trees, right? And it's these hash marks that they would put on these big pillars, right? So the very first gods, the ones that existed before all these statues and everything else, all these idols, they were just poles in the ground that would unite the earth to the sky or to the ground, right? This pole everyone would worship around, right? Because this is part of your family tree. You would be buried under your family tree. This is where we get these concepts from. So as the tree keeps growing with the family, as it grows too, we were all connected to these trees, right? And if you go back to the Proto-Indo-European languages, they're always talking about being connected to these trees. This is why, they've got the laurel wreath on their heads. This is why oak is the royal oak, right? These trees are a reflection of us. Have you ever heard the song by what's it called? Oh shit, Kids. The song is called Kids. I know you've heard it before.
It's MGMT.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Everybody be on it.
Yeah, they say
I know that
a
song.
family of trees wanted to be haunted.
Oh yeah,
They're
I always
talking
wondered what
about
the
us.
fuck that line meant, because it's like,
that's it. We come from the trees. We come
So,
out of the forest.
how the fuck do those guys know about that shit? The
I think-
MGMT
yeah,
boys.
I mean, even look at like Twin Peaks, David Lynch, constantly.
Yep. Yes, because and also I want to point out the fucking Back to the Future movie, the Twin Pines Hotel, and they have that 9/11 predictive programming in that scene. It's like Twin Pines,
Well,
Twin
to be
Peaks.
fair,
I
though,
think Back to the Future is all about magic anyway.
to be fair, though, at that Twin Pines scene, he ran over one of the pine trees when he was back in the past in the DeLorean.
Yep.
So it went from Twin Pines to Single Pine because he ran one of them over.
Well, that means that after those twin towers collapsed, they put up one tower in memoriam,
One
right?
tower. Absolutely. I think we should wrap it up there. I mean, this is a great episode.
Oh, yeah.
Michael
Thank
J.
you guys
Fox
so much.
gets his appearance on fucking Occult Rejects or In My Patriot, whatever fucking show this
Sorry.
is.
We got to get that middle layer. And what's in the middle layer? That's your belly button.
Evil.
That's your belly button. That's your middle layer of energy. We've got to connect with it. It can't just be the big and the small. It has to be everywhere.
I think like your stomach, your heart, and your brain, you have to sync up. Certain, yeah.
That's what we should be meditating on. That's what takes us back to ourselves. Because if you're not there, you're up in your head. And your head's full of ideas that somebody else fucking put there. Somebody else's words. All those words are coming from the beehive of the Omphalus in our society, and we don't even know where that is. Is it what's that place up in New England where they landed? Plymouth Rock? Is Plymouth Rock our Omphalus?
God, I hope not.
Might be. I don't know.
Could
I've
be.
never been there.
Hey, if you check it out, let me know how it is. I'll take a trek if you think it's interesting.
All right.
All
Well,
these rocks keep popping up. Keep an eye on them.
thank you both very much for jumping on tonight. That was a very, very good chat. Like I said before, I always enjoy having you on and having Colby co-host. It's always a very interesting and just goes all over the place, but a really good talk. Keeps me thinking.
Yeah, this is the fearsome threesome right here.
The shit is it's very interesting and fun.
I mean, I try to like throw shit at him to get him, and he fucking just comes back with fire every time.
I'm a juggler, man. I'm a juggler.
Juggalo.
Juggalo, yeah. Clown sec.
There you go.
Oh man, we could do clowns all day, man. The Native American type clowns.
Yeah,
I think this should be a whole fucking episode.
man.
Yeah, didn't Thrash talk about that?
Yeah, I had Thrash on for 2 episodes. I don't know if you've heard it or not. Maybe check it out. He definitely did cover the Native Americans and clowns, and it's just motherfuckers were looking like Beetlejuice back then.
Yeah, and they were like midwives.
When you go to Hawaii and watch their fucking like warrior dance, it's fucking all
Haka.
clown shit. Yeah.
But you see, they're making the motions of trial and error where they felt the energy move through them, right? So using that same concept in your own life is going to allow you to hone the ability to master that type of thing. And here's the thing, synchronicities are sticky conscious energy, right? All of this stuff is working in harmonics, but it's sticking to other forces. And when you've got that stickiness happening to you, it's leading you somewhere. It's showing you something. You're going from the unknown to the known. That's what synchronicities represent, is that movement from the unknown to the known. And you're like, what does this mean? It doesn't matter what it means. It means you're on a path. It's taking you forward. That's that conscious energy. Follow it. You know, I made the mistake when I was a kid of having like premonitions and then saying, well, what if I do something different? Because right now it's happening. What if I do something different? It was taking me someplace. It wasn't malicious.
But you just called it a mistake, though.
Yeah, that's what I did. And that was a mistake.
Okay. Well, also what you're talking about right now, it reminds me of the OA episode that you guys did together, because there's those fucking dance moves that they do, like in the face of danger.
It's moving on the outside and the inside. Remember that. You'll feel it in both places. Like I've been having crazy freaking pressure on my third eye today. I'm like, that means it's going to be a great episode. I feel that.
I feel like this is one of the better ones we've done.
Nice. Good for you, man. All right. We'll wrap it up now. Headless, I'll let you plug yourself first. Let everybody know where you can be found, where you have your own show and stuff, and your social media.
All right. I've got the Headless Giant podcast. It's on Spotify. I just did an episode today with a woman from Germany. We're talking about Daedalus. He was the one who constructed the labyrinth. His son was Icarus, right? So talked a little bit about the Omphalus too. I've just been on that Omphalus kick because I think a lot of people have no idea.
Is that out? Like I could listen to it right
it's
after
out.
we get
You
off
can
here?
listen to
Sweet.
it right now.
I'm gonna go wash dishes and put your shit on.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you. So check that out. Also, I'm doing Twitter Spaces with Corrine Atlas. I think you might have heard I did an episode with her about Sicily and the big volcano that was happening over there. That was an interesting time, dude. And now we're seeing all the smoke. You know, it's normally associated. It blots out the sky, and now we're seeing the smoke. That's a strange sort of coincidence right there. So check out that episode. We talk a lot about Hephaestus, god of blacksmithing. And also, he's down there with Typhon, which is the snake god. Back to that snake energy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So check it out. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and I got all your links down in the bottom now, and they will be out when it drops on podcast. If you're listening on audio, his links are in the bottom as well with the show notes. And last but not least, Colby, thank you very much for jumping on tonight with me. Let everybody know where they could find your amazing show as well.
Well, I just want to start out by saying Hephaestus sounds like the next hot STD that's going to hit us. And what a great name.
I'm here for it.
You can find me on conspiracyplaytime.com. That'll take you to the video format for my main show and anywhere audio. Disinfobation with the lovely @UTruthCast Dusty over on Twitter. Every week we drop some shit where we just try to troll the world and make as many fucked up comments as we can. And, you know, neither one of us usually win. We end up just, you know, with this negative energy, this black goo. But you know what? I am a court jester at heart. So you can find that one anywhere other than YouTube and Apple. They're too good for us. So
thank you very much. And yes, all your links are in the bottom as well. Thank you both very much for coming on. I know I said that before, but thank you again. And everybody in the chat, thank you. That's what's up. We had a lot of people talking. Currency Riddler, thank you very much for some of the stuff that you're dropping. That is what's up, man, for sure. And Mindhack, thank you very much. Lisa was in there today dropping stuff as well. That's why I go live, so you could, you know, all join in and drop some of your knowledge of the topic yourself.
And I just want to say hi to my mom. You know, she's watching. She's our biggest fan, Nick. I mean, you've never met her, but I feel like you kind of have.
Hey, thank you for watching.
Oh, and Headless, she also texted me and she said he would be a great teacher. So if you
nice.
ever want,
thank you.
Yeah.
Nice. That's what's up. Nice. All right, so yeah, that is the end of another NY Patriot episode. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.